Hey everybody, welcome back to Cricut Woodwork. I'm Andy. Today we're building a military-inspired weapons crate for my nephew Eli. He just turned 10, so I talked to his dad and mom, thought it was appropriate to get him his first Red Ryder BB gun. I put some special touches on it, like the serial number on the barrel is etched in the bottom of the lid, and then just, neat stuff like Red Ryder and the caliber of the weapon. So, should be pretty fun. Let me show you how I did it.
First thing I did was lay out everything I bought for my nephew. It was just a Red Ryder BB gun, a little target, some eye protection, extra BBs. The weapon itself was right at 3 feet, so I made it just a tiny bit bigger. I think my final width dimension was 42 inches, and my final depth dimension was about 14 inches. I took these measurements out to the garage and just transcribed them onto a piece of wood. And at first I was just cutting the lid and the base of the ammo crate. As you can see, I'm using my garage door track as a stop block to make sure I'm making uniform cuts. It's kind of silly, it's kind of hillbilly, but it works for me. Just slide the lumber in until it makes contact and cut. It's really foolproof. I grabbed the base and the lid and headed down to the garage. I just simply glued these up and left them to dry. While they were drying, I went back up to the garage and continued cutting the other pieces I would need. Obviously the box is going to have 4 sides, so I had 2 long members for the front and back, and then 2 shorter members for the side. Then there will be 4 support members, which you'll see here as I put them together. I made sure I had all the pieces I needed and headed back down to the basement, making sure I said hey to Dixie on my way down. I laid out the long end of my boxes and then just attached the short ends with some brad nails and glue. As you can see, I'm offsetting the location of the short ends of my box by the width of the supporting members. It's just kind of the design I found online that you're going to get a lot of strength from the support members, which kind of serve like glue blocks. I simply attached these support members with glue and brad nails as well. This is a very rustic project that's ultimately going to end up underneath my nephew's bed. Don't be afraid to use too much glue or drive too many brad nails. That's just going to kind of add to the motif. The next thing I did was add some supports to the lid. I just found a placement that was appealing to my eye, used some glue and some more brad nails to leave them in place. It's going to provide a little bit more structure to the lid and also give it kind of that aesthetic I'm looking for. I set the lid aside and then I attached the base of the weapons crate with glue and you guessed it, more brad nails. Obviously I ran out of brad nails in the middle of this operation, so I went and got some more, came back and just kept driving. I flipped it over to let it dry, and then I attached the underside of the lid hardware while it was still in the clamps. I figured while it was upright it'd be easier to attach now, and then after I take it out of the clamps I can attach it to the box. I wanted to add some special touches to the box, one of it being some cushioning. So I had this leftover styrofoam and my first thought was to cut it with a box cutter. It was making a huge mess and it wasn't very accurate at all, so I ended up just taking it to my bandsaw. I'd never cut styrofoam on a bandsaw before, but it worked great. It fit real snug and I was very happy with it, but I didn't like the color, so I was going to come back and address that later. Finally took the lid out of the clamps and attached it to the main body of the box with the same hinges. My nephew's 10, but his little sister is 2, so we got to make sure we can lock this thing up so Lily doesn't get her hands on it. So I attached a latch on the front and it will ultimately have a lock installed on it. I can't tell you the code because it's a secret. Time to sand down the really rough edges of the box. Even though it is a real rustic item, I don't want anybody getting any splinters or anything like that, and plus it just kind of gives it the aged look. So then I grabbed my propane torch and started giving this thing a once over. Using a propane torch is really kind of tricky. It's a lot of fun to use, seeing wood transform right in front of your eyes, but it's easy to overdo it. So if you're going to use this method, I would recommend less is more, but it's really up to you and what you think looks best. To create some special touches on the box, I used my wife's Cricut, with her help, to come up with a couple templates that had size, weight, serial number of the BB gun, all that. I just thought it made it a little bit more fun and a little bit more of a personalized gift. Thanks, dear. I used contact paper, that way I could fix it directly to the box, and some of the interior cuts kind of stuck, so my wife helped me pluck those out, and then I just fixed it to the box. My idea here is to use spray paint and then just kind of sand away any of the overspray. I found locations that I thought looked good. Once again, if you're doing this project, it's your call. You can do whatever the heck you want. I apologize for the nighttime video, but I was really excited to keep working on this project, so I took it outside and sprayed down the box with the templates. I had quite a bit more overspray than I thought, but it's not a big deal. Again, it's a rustic project, so just sand off the overspray, and then I did some reburning to kind of cover up some of the imperfections. I also somehow forgot to burn the inside of the box to include the bottom of the lid, so I took care of that now. Next, I hit the entire box with some spray polyurethane, probably unnecessary, but I thought it gave it a little bit more protection and a little bit of a glossier look, which was neat. And then I drilled some holes in the side for some 1/2 inch twine that I purchased at the big box store, and these are just going to be little handles. I taped them off with duct tape and burned them so they wouldn't unravel, and then just tied a knot on the inside of the box. These knots were hidden pretty well with the styrofoam that I had placed inside the box. As I previously mentioned, I didn't like the unfinished look of the styrofoam, so I went to Walmart and just got some OD green, like army green cloth, and I just used that to wrap and safety pin around the styrofoam. I think it ultimately gives it a much better look once you open up the box. Placed all the items back inside the box and locked this thing up. This was a Christmas gift, so I know I'm a few days late posting. I don't think my nephew Eli does a lot of YouTubing, but I didn't want him to see it just in case he did figure it out. And I think that'll do it for this project. I appreciate you all watching. We'll catch you next time. Bye.